Welcome back to the Inspiration Station and your Everyday Edge podcast. I'm your host, Mr. U. Thanks for making us part of your week. If you're watching us and listening for the first time, first off, thanks for joining us. We are available on any platform that you get your podcast from. You can find us on YouTube. We have a simulcast on LinkedIn and Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. But we also have our Excuse Me Moving podcast on Apple Podcasts, where you can subscribe to our show, download all of our episodes, and of course, leave us a 5-star review. Let us know how you enjoy the content, what you learn from it. I get those messages directly, so definitely helpful for me to help grow the show. So thank you for being a part of the process. And if you are a fan of YouTube, we have a YouTube channel. You can definitely subscribe there and follow all of our work there as well. So thank you again for all you do to watch and listen to our show and keep our train moving. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen is a QR code where you can follow all of our episodes of the Inspiration Station. And you can look at the topics, find things that appeal to you and matter to you most. So if you just enjoy all of our work, grab an episode, lock in whatever you're doing, and have fun and enjoy the content as it flows. So thanks again for doing all that you do to support our show and our journey into the podcasting and media space. Thank you for all you do. I want to kind of share with you guys a big part of this message is going to be for the men in your life. Doesn't mean it doesn't apply to women, but a lot of this is coming from my perspective. So kind of take that with a grain of salt, if you would, please. But thank you again for listening to this. You know, it's been over 10 years now, and I know that growing up in Brooklyn in the concrete jungle, if you will, you don't hear a lot about people gardening and taking care of crops and things of that nature. You don't hear that very often. My mom had a pretty good sized garden growing up, so she did those things and I helped her. I was involved, but I didn't appreciate the importance of it because we didn't have to get fed from it like many people do today. If you look now at my old hometown, which is still urban, but now you see such things as urban gardens, rooftop gardens. People are integrating this into the school system, and now young kids that are preteens are growing fruits and vegetables on rooftops in the city of New York. So you've seen that there and perhaps in other places as well. But it's been 10 years since we've had a garden in our backyard. And the garden, for the size of the property, the garden is pretty massive, pretty huge undertaking for us. Like I said, it's been 10 years going strong, and we really are learning a lot. I really believe that I'm getting a lot of revelation and wisdom from in that garden. There are a lot of things, there's nothing to play with out there. I mean, there's some flat beds, some raised beds that I helped put together, and they're heavy. It's a lot of work. Maybe even to some people, it's backbreaking. I've been doing that kind of stuff, so I feel it on some days that I'm involved in that. A little less now than before, but still a lot of work. And I learned a lot about what it means to cultivate. I was sharing with some men recently about the Garden of Eden, and if you're familiar with the story, Adam was the first man that was created, and he was given a charge to cultivate the garden, to develop it, to grow it, to duplicate it, to multiply. That instruction was given to a man. And the reason why I'm making that reference today and making it non-gender specific, or excuse me, I am making it gender specific, is because in today's society, men, as a matter of fact, as long as I've been a person, as long as I've been alive, I've never seen there be an emphasis anywhere in media spaces or even in family dynamics where men were called upon to cultivate a garden. If you're a farmer, of course, you're an exception to the rule. But generally speaking, that's not something that we've heard of. It wasn't directed toward us. It was left to the women in our lives and not us. But I believe that first example of Adam is a great example, a powerful example that we are also called to cultivate. We are also called to grow and it's our assignment. That's a literal garden, but there is a spiritual metaphor attached to it that we can talk about at a later date. But there's an assignment there. There's a responsibility to cultivate and be intentional about it. That's what I want to talk about today. I don't mean talking about a literal garden, because if you don't have a garden, I might lose you here. You might cut me off, and I don't want you to do that. I want you to stay with me. I think this is important. There's a chapter in the book of Proverbs, the 24th chapter, verse 30 to 34. I'm going to read it real quick for you so you can kind of get an idea where we're headed with this, and then we'll jump in here. Verse 30 said, no, excuse me, just to be clear, it's Proverbs 24, verse 30 to 34. I walk by the field of a lazy person, the vineyard of one with no common sense. I saw that it was overgrown with nettles, it was covered with weeds, and its walls were broken down. Then as I looked and thought about it, I learned this lesson. A little extra sleep, a little more slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, then poverty will pounce on you like a bandit, and scarcity will attack you like an armed robber. He's talking about being intentional. He's talking about what happens when you're lazy, what happens to your life, what happens to your finances, what happens to your wealth, what happens to all of your provision if you're lazy and you're not intentional about if you're not intentional, about what's being put into your hand. It's really talking about stewardship. I believe that's the thread throughout the entire Bible from end to end is stewardship. So Proverbs 24th chapter, verse 30 to 34, that was the New Living Translation. In case you guys are following that, please, by all means, check it out. Brothers, I want you to understand something. Everything you want to see grow, your faith, your family, your focus, only grows because you tend to it. I'm going to say that again for those in the back, those brothers in the back that might be busy right now, might have a tool in their hand or a drink in their hand, or perhaps they're just doing something else, looking at TV, whatever it is you're doing. I want you to hear this today. Brothers, I'm talking to you. Everything that you want to see grow, your family, your faith, your marriage, your relationships, your focus, your income, it only grows because you tend to it. It doesn't grow by itself. It grows because you tend to it. If I took the approach of not tending to the garden that we have, massive amount of vegetables that we've been eating off of and feeding our family for a decade, fruits that are feeding us, and we're almost there. We're not to the point we got a massive amount of fruits, but it's growing. We're definitely herbs and vegetables. It's been that for quite a while now. If I hadn't tended to it, if we hadn't tended to it, we wouldn't have been able to have the fruits of it. They'd be able to bless our family, and we can be able to store it and have this for days, weeks, and months. Everything you want to see grow, whatever it is, it grows because you tend to it. Put that in your back pocket. It's going to be super important. Matter of fact, if you're watching this right now and you're close to a chat session or comment section, drop that. Drop that in the comment section today. Everything you want to see grow grows because you tend to. Right on a sticky pad or index card on your desk. Everything you want to see grow only grows because you tend to it. It only grows because you tend to it. What you neglect, conversely, will decay. What you neglect will decay. But what you intentionally cultivate will flourish. We can't sit here and act like growth is an accident. It's a decision that we make every single day. There's a book by a gentleman named Darren Hardy, and the book is called The Compound Effect. I cut my teeth on this book. So this is really something that I really stand up for. And I believe that the daily disciplines and the daily habits that we do amount to what kind of success we're going to see, whatever we define success to be. Growth isn't by accident. That can be because you're cute or what family you come from or your skin color or where you live geographically. Growth is not an accident. It comes from decisions that we make every single day. Everything that's valuable in our life, everything that matters to you, whether it be your faith, whether it be your relationship, whether it be your purpose in life, whether it be discipline that you hold on to because you know they're going to get you some kind of success. They have to be cultivated. Nothing can stand on its own and just be passive. They need activity. They must be cultivated. I love that proverb that we read there with Solomon's talking about the weeds and the walls falling down and what was once fruitful now is being overrun with nettles and weeds. If we don't take care of what we've been blessed with, we're opening up to decay, to damage to loss. Cultivation is about the small, deliberate actions every single day. And honestly, I'm changing my circle only because I know I need to. So I'm surrounding myself by folks who have a higher regard for themselves as people and for the goals that they have when it comes to their faith, their family, their focus. But in times past, I was surrounded by folks who didn't care about those things. They felt like they will always be taken care of at some point in time, nothing for them to worry about, not a big deal. I'll get back to that later. And then they found out that when later came, there was nothing to get back to. They lost it all. They lost their marriage. They lost their businesses. They lost their strong relationships. They lost it all because they didn't take good care of what they had. It's a message to all of us. And I don't just mean your marriage. I don't just mean the relationship with your children and your family. I don't just mean your friendship that you have or the relationship that you're building that requires some love and attention and some oomph for you to add to it. You can lose that. Don't take it for granted. It's going to be small, deliberate actions every day. It's going to help you to stay in that cultivation mode and retain what you have. You got to show up and be consistent in your showing up. If there's distractions in your life, you got to weed them out and say, you know what? I can't put my attention and my focus on this. It's going to take me off of my focus. It's going to derail me from my destiny. We got to water the things that matters. If you got weeds, don't water them. Uproot them. Starve them out. Don't water those. Water what matters. Be intentional about feeding your spirit. Be intentional about the fact that you have been given a responsibility. It's our call to maintain the gardens in our life. It's our responsibility. It's time, as men specifically, it's time for us to step up and tend to what God has given us. That means your time. That means your mind and your attitude. That means your heart and what you allow to get in through the eye and the ear gates, and even your own household. We ain't got to know what's going on in your house. We can just watch your kids. And we know what's happening at your house. We know you got chaos within them four walls. And we can see your kids. We know what's going on. I'm going to use an example that people might not like, but it comes to mind. I think it's going to be really, really good. I live in a community where every once in a while, which means every week, somebody's dogs are running around lost in the streets. Now, there's a lot of reasons why that can happen. It could be maybe perhaps inadequate protection. Maybe the fence is old and the dog has found a way to get around it. That stuff is normal. It does happen. It's no slight against the homeowner. I'm not talking about that really. What I'm talking about is what happens in the household. Is there training of the animal in the household? Is there understanding, you know what? Don't tear up my couch. Don't tear up everything you see because you've been untrained. Is the dog trained to not tear up your bed when you're at work or tear up your couch and tear all of the fuzz and insulation out of your house, out of your couch because they're bored? Do they know to not tear apart your wooden panels because you don't have anything else better to do? Dogs, like any other animal that you have as a domestic pet, has to be trained to understand how to respond. And what I see is that when that door gets opened, the dogs are out and they're doing whatever. They're tearing up things. And you can tell what a dog is learning at home with how they act in public. If they are so untrained, for lack of a better word, where they just are knocking people over and just creating chaos if you walk them into a store that allows pets to come in there, that's not the dog's fault. You can't blame the dog for that. Did you train the dog to understand how to conduct himself where he's not a bull in a china shop, literally tearing up somebody's establishment? Just something to think about. What you do at home, what you tend to at home, your marriage, your family dynamic, your friendships, your relationships, your mindset, what comes out of your mouth, what goes into your eyes and ears, how you train yourself is going to determine what comes out. What you do privately is going to be an indication of what we see publicly. What's one area of your life that you've been neglecting, but you know needs intentional cultivation? Think about that. What's one area of your life that you know needs intentional cultivation? If you can do some daily and weekly habits to cultivate that and strengthen that area, what would they be? Begin to start writing these questions down. Think about this. What's the area of your life that you want to cultivate more intentionally? What can you do in terms of daily habits, weekly habits? What's competing for your attention that's keeping you from cultivating that kind of growth? Are you willing to invite God into the process of tending to that field? Are you cool with that? Are you okay with doing that? Are you willing to do that? I think that's really important. It's really something to think about. Those are some questions you can talk about and think about with your spouse, and maybe perhaps evaluate on your own through some studies and stuff. Just some ways that you can kind of dig in. And I'm happy to help if you don't know where to start with that. Shoot me a message. I'll throw some ideas your way, kind of get you on the right path and get you going. If you want to go further than that and take it into a long-term relationship, I'm more than happy to help out there as well. Let me know what you need. Or even in the cultivating of these kind of relationships and responsibilities and this garden that we're being asked to cultivate, the second piece is really important too, and that's the accountability piece. And honestly, we're not going to be able to get around that part. I know as men, we take things onto ourselves. We walk around in pride. Let's be honest. Men walk around in pride sometimes. We think we can do it on our own. We don't need anybody's help. We don't want to ask for help because it makes us look weak. And we think we can handle things all on our own. Proverbs 27:17 is a fantastic scripture. We use it all the time. You even hear it on the sports networks, but guaranteed they don't know what they're talking about. But we understand this to mean accountability. Basically, iron can't sharpen itself. It needs contact. It needs friction. But the same thing goes for us. Iron sharpens iron. And a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. We have a responsibility to our friends, to our relationships, to make sure that our brother is not the one standing on the bridge ready to jump because he doesn't feel like he has a voice in this world, or ear that wants to hear his voice. We got to be responsible for what we're responsible for and be available for what we need to be available for, and accountable we need to be accountable. Accountability isn't a restriction. It's not some kind of bind that keeps us from having good times. It's a way to refine us. If it wasn't for the accountability that I had in my life and people who were able to see those blind spots, I can't imagine where I'd be. Where would you be if it wasn't for the accountability? Where would you be if you didn't have somebody look at those blind spots for you that you had no idea about? How many accidents got caused because they didn't see a car in their blind spot and they were getting ready to make a turn? It happens more times than you think. I believe that God uses other people to help shape us and strengthen us and help safeguard us against pitfalls that we don't have to go through. We all go through challenges in life, and that's something that we can't avoid. It's something we don't have to go through. And accountability helps us with that. It's not about trying to control somebody, it's about connection. If you've been watching our Men's Roundtable Series podcast, all we talk about is accountability because we understand it's the key in every relationship, no matter what kind it is. It's the key. And if we want to, as a matter of fact, it's a key to our growth, specifically as men, but it's the key to our growth. We're going to fall flat if we don't have accountability and somebody holding us up. The men who decide to isolate themselves, you're just dulling the edge of your sword and making your weapon unusable and worthless. Isolating yourself just keeps you away from the growth that you desperately need. When you allow somebody to challenge you, question you, call you to a higher place, you get sharper. You get sharper in life. True accountability is built on honesty and humility, trusting somebody enough to see your blind spots. Yeah, they're going to know about you. Yeah, they're going to see you in your weakest place. So what? Do you want to grow or not? Do you want to be better or not? David was arguably the greatest king in history, biblical or any other history. He had a man in his life named Nathan who corrected him about something that he really messed up on. He really messed up on this one. Basically, what he did was a crime for the most part. Matter of fact, it might have been two crimes. depending on how you look at it. And Nathan corrected him, and he accepted the correction and was restored by it. Somebody who maybe didn't deserve to be restored, but because he received correction, because he received the accountability, he was restored, and it made him better. Where are you at in your life right now that you think you can be better? Have you given up on that idea? Do you think you're too far gone? Or do you think there's hope and a possibility there? Accountability saves us from being deceived and thinking that there's nothing wrong, and we continue to stay in the same waste that we've been living in, that are getting up out of the mire, out of the mud, and living a productive life, changing lives in the process. Accountability saves us from drifting. If you start rowing that boat, guess what's going to happen? The wind and the water is going to take you wherever it wants to take you, far away from shore into parts unknown, because the power and of the direction is in your rowing, and continuing to row and steer yourself where you want to be. Accountability saves us from pride. We listen to the voices in our head and listen to what we think is best. We'd be jacked up. How many of you know a jacked up person, male or female? They just jacked up. I bet you pride's involved. I bet you they lack accountability. Old mentor used to say that person needs a mirror and a friend. If we have more people telling us the truth about how we're acting, the truth about how we're treating other people, we'd be such a better people, a stronger people, a stronger nation even. I don't mean just have people around you. You can walk into a room at a networking event full of 50 people and have no connection whatsoever. You sitting with your shrimp cocktails and your drink, and you haven't grown at all in that environment. Receive accountability from those that are around you if you intentionally have them around you for that reason. Excuse me. Receive accountability from them. I challenge you today to look around at your life where you are right now. And I know that it's low-hanging fruit, and I'm going to challenge you to do better than what I'm getting ready to say. But I know it's low-hanging fruit for you to perhaps pick somebody who makes you comfortable. Pick somebody who you've known for 15 years that hasn't challenged you to do better, hasn't challenged you to grow in any conceivable way. They're just there to have fun with and stay in the present with. No future aspiration, just to stay in the present. I'm going to ask you to put those people out of the equation for this particular assignment and find somebody, even if they rub you the wrong way, if they make you uncomfortable with the things that they say because you don't understand why it's bothering you, what they say. You don't understand why it's getting to you, why you can't stop thinking about it. I encourage you to find somebody that can be the Nathan in your life, like Nathan was for David. Give them the permission to ask you the hard questions. Give them permission to speak truth in love. If you're a woman, I suggest another woman. If you're a man, I suggest another man, just to keep things simple. But find a Nathan that is not afraid to ask you the hard questions. You're not directing them and leading them and telling them what to do and controlling and manipulating the situation. I'm talking about somebody who you can't manipulate, who you know you can't control. They make you uneasy because they're so confident. They know where they are. They know where they're from. They know what they can do. They're seasoned, perhaps. They have experience. Give somebody permission to be that Nathan in your life. What do you think keeps most men from embracing real accountability? What do you think that is? Drop that answer that you have in the comment section in the chat if you can. What keeps most men from embracing real accountability? Who in your life has permission to challenge you when you're slipping? Who in your life right now has the permission to challenge you when you're slipping? You will actually accept it. I just kick back and fight against it like every time. But who has the ability to reach you in that regard? Are you willing to create a circle of accountability? Where can you open yourself up to accountability at this stage of your life? Ask the Lord to surround you with brothers and sisters who sharpen you. Ask him for the humility to receive their correction, for them to be Nathans in your life. Honestly, we're at a place right now where cultivation and doing that intentionally, along with being intentionally accountable, we're at a place now where they're not buzzwords anymore. Putting them on a t-shirt and a coffee mug ain't going to get it. We're at a place now where we got to get this done. We got to start doing this in our life because we're going to need it. I see this all the time, and I'm going out of my way to not get into specifics here. But what I will say is this. There are a lot of people who have a lot of people around them. Probably it looks like more like a fan club than anything else. A group of adoring fans, yes man, yes women, who would do whatever the leader says to do. But those people will never elevate that leader to where they need to be, where God wants them to be. They'll always be on that level because that's what's comfortable. Let me give you an example of this. Have you ever worked on a job before? I've seen this with the government, and it's brutal, but it does happen in other places as well. But that's just my story. So you got a group of 5 people, tight, been hanging together for years. Friends came into that company together, years and years, friendships going back all the way back to high school, and they come into this job together and they work together, same shift, everything. And one of them gets promoted. Then that one person becomes the other guy's boss or the other people's boss. You want to see some changes? Have that person have to tell his friend that he knew since he was little, you can't keep coming in here late or you're going to lose your job. You're going to get written up. You got to be on time when you come back from break. This work wasn't done the way it was supposed to be done. Fix this before you do anything else. Get this taken care of. The looks on their faces is priceless. I can't imagine what they're feeling. I'm not even justifying what they're feeling because that person that got promoted is the authority over them. It just is what it is. But they've been so familiar with that person, that familiarity now breeds contempt. They can't even receive their friend as their new boss. And as a matter of fact, it adversely affects their friendship because now, even when they're off the clock, they're struggling to see them as their friend anymore because he's changed. He's grown. He's elevated to a different position. He has new responsibilities now. He's even talking different. He's dressing different now. Even his hair is done now. It's different. And that's the problem that people have who are leaders who don't receive accountability and cultivate relationships intentionally. That's what happens. The people around you don't pull you up. They don't elevate you. They don't lift you higher. They keep you where you are. The minute you try to change your position, kind of that crab in the bucket scenario that I talked about so many times on this show. That crab in the bucket scenario. So you try to get up out of the bucket and move higher, those same crabs, i.e. your friends, will start pulling you down. And what the crab will do also, if you keep on trying to climb out of the bucket, they not only pull you down, but they'll break your legs and cripple you so you can't get away anymore. You don't think your friends can do that because you think you're untouchable. You think your friends are that great and you're that great as well. Crab in the bucket, real thing. It can happen to you wherever you are and however you're listening to the Inspiration Station and your Everyday Edge podcast. Thanks again for making us a part of your week. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen is a QR code. That's so you can grab all of our episodes of the Inspiration Station going back some years now. If you're on Apple Podcasts and that's how you're finding us, by all means, please drop something in the comment section. Let us know how you enjoyed the show and leave a 5-star review for us. 4-star just won't do. Leave us a 5-star review of this show. Let us know how you're enjoying this. Let us know what we can do better, what you enjoyed about today's episode. And of course, download and subscribe to all of the shows there. And of course, our YouTube channel is still active and flowing and growing. Subscribe there to our shows. You can see all of our live content. A lot of hundreds upon hundreds of hours of live content on our YouTube channel, youtube.com They Call Me Mr. U. Thanks again for watching and listening and making us a part of your week. I'm Mr. U. This is the Inspiration Station and your Everyday Edge podcast. Look forward to hearing from you guys on your thoughts on this show and stay inspired. We're in a time where we have to be.